In this video, we are doing standing lumbar extension. Standing lumbar extension is typically used as a function test to see how standing with an extended lumbar spine potentially changes how our body feels. But just like any function test or any posture exercise, we can turn it into the other. So a function test can absolutely become a posture exercise, and a posture exercise can absolutely become a function test. So I'm going to teach this to you as a normal posture exercise. If it feels good, if it creates change for you, then it's one to bring into your working day. If it makes you feel worse, of course, you stop it. But I will also walk you through the mindset of how you would think about this as a function test as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to be standing up straight, and we are going to have our feet parallel and hip width apart. So hip width apart is narrower than most think, and parallel is more pigeon-toed than most people think. So this is not parallel feet because those are feet that are turning off out to the side. You want it to be that the second and the third toes are lining up with the front of the ankle, who are lining up with the front of the hips like this, okay? And then what we're going to do while standing with parallel feet, hip width apart, is we're going to take our arms behind us and grab the opposite elbows like so. And what this position is going to help us do is create lumbar extension. So I want you to feel like you are gently lifting up your rib cage and sort of flaring your rib cage. And this is putting you into a little bit of a back bend. So this might feel like a bit of a stretch and a bit of a strain on your shoulders, but this isn't actually so much changing your shoulder position. It's helping you to achieve lumbar extension. So this is lumbar extension. Like if we were to do a back bend like this, that would be lumbar extension, or thoracic extension as well. It's the opposite of being rounded into flexion. So that's a position of spinal flexion. This is a position of spinal extension, and having our hands behind us like this, grabbing onto the elbows, just helps to encourage our lumbar spine into extension. So this in itself may be an exercise. You know, you might feel things going on, you might feel things happening, and therefore it's one that you can bring into your working day. As you do it, I want you to make sure that your pelvis isn't drifting in front of your ankles. Can you see there how I'm sort of out at a diagonal forwards? I want your pelvis to stay above your hips. The pelvis rolls forwards and it puts a little bit of an arch in the lower back, but your pelvis isn't drifting forwards. There's a difference between rolling forwards but your pelvis staying above your ankles. You're going to breathe into your nose, into your lower ribs and into your belly, and you're just going to hold this here. If you want to do a little bit more, you can try and roll your shoulder blades kind of back and down behind you slightly, and see if you can pull your shoulder blades down away from your ears. So you can kind of lengthen the sides of your neck and depress your shoulder blades whilst also contracting your back. So this is lumbar extension. We're creating a mini back bend, which is starting to contract your back body and lengthen your front body. It will be putting your pelvis into a more anterior position. And for some of you, this might feel really nice. You might notice that when you're doing this, if you turn your head, you have more freedom at your neck. You might notice as you're doing this that your kind of back or your mid-back might be really waking up, but perhaps your knees aren't hurting you so much, or your feet aren't hurting you so much, or whatever it might be. And these are signs that with more lumbar extension, you are going to change X symptom, be it neck restriction or knee pain or ankle pain or whatnot. If you are somebody who is like me, who is normally stuck in a bit of an anterior pelvic tilt, where you flare your rib cage and you sort of compress your lower back, which is what we're doing in this exercise, if you're somebody like me who is like that a lot of the time, this exercise might make your symptoms of pain feel worse, or it might not make you feel any different. But if you are somebody who typically has a tucked pelvis and a bit of a rounded C-shaped spine like this is normally a very good exercise for this type of posture because it asks for the opposite. So this would be an exercise or a function test that I would give to someone typically who has got a tucked posterior pelvis and a bit of a rounded C-shaped spine. But if I had somebody who I sort of saw was a bit like me, like chest puffed up to the ceiling and arched lower back, I wouldn't really be giving them this as a test because they're already sort of stuck in that posture. I'd give them something else instead. So this is standing lumbar extension. It's a function test to see how standing with a more extended lumbar spine, a bit more of a rib cage flare, a bit more of an anterior pelvic tilt might help to change symptoms of pain, but it is also an exercise in itself that if it feels good, bring it into your working day and keep giving your body that stimulus that it is asking for.